All right, the Great Bambi 42. We're at the Mode campus. I am here with the man, the king of the fight game in Spokane, Washington, Mr. Rick Little. How are you doing, man?
Spokane, the PNW. King of the
PNW.
PNW fight game. I like it. I'll take whatever.
How are you doing?
I'll take King of Hilliard. Whatever.
How you been?
I've been pretty good. We just came back, won a huge fight. It's huge to me because, Juliana Miller came and entrusted me with a camp. And any fighter that does that entrusts you with their career, their camp, especially their UFC career, when you take on the job, it's pass or fail, win or lose, doesn't matter. And you have to win. Like, you're a failure as a coach if you say, yeah, come here, we'll win UFC fights. And they come, and you lose. You can't blame it on the fighter. The coach takes you in, says we can win. They have to win. It has to fall back on us a little if they don't. So yes, I'm very happy. I'm considering that a very huge win for what I've been doing my whole life.
Yeah, I know you've been working with Juliana for a little while now. Just such a big moment to go down to Iowa and get the W. Any moment that kind of stands out that you took from that trip?
Any specific moment? That's a good question. I was probably more nervous than I've ever been in any of my fights, believe it or not. Again, because the pressure of, when we have a very unique system at my gym, and it's one of those that you have to be in it for about 5 years, or it just doesn't make sense. And once the people have the system down, Michael Chiesa, Juliana Pena, I can see a matchup and know when we're going to win. For example, Amanda Nunes, number one. I 100% knew we were going to win that fight. I did. The way that, I'm glad Amanda adapted her fighting style, but the way that she fought, I knew it would play right into our system and what we do. So obviously I was nervous about winning a world title, because that's our big shot. But not that nervous. This fight I was a little bit nervous. New system, new athlete. I was feeling the pressure for some reason. I was feeling a lot more pressure than I normally do.
Yeah, and I know you're the only one that has brought a UFC World Championship back to Spokane, Washington. Juliana Pena, of course, winning the belt. I guess I kind of want to just take it back, take it, to the very beginning, just, your whole journey, up to getting the world championship, up to get, I feel like you realized your dream, that was the main goal. That was, when you first set out, when you first created Sikjitsu, I can only imagine that was the pinnacle. That was where you wanted to get. So yeah, take me back to the very beginning of just, starting Sikjitsu and this whole fight journey for you.
I'm going to go way back because this is crazy. I played at high school sports, and I was fairly good at them, but I always known from what people told me, what they told me, that past this is virtually impossible. Professional is virtually impossible. So you're messing with the system
A little bit.
and I can hear that. And then going anything past high school athletics, impossible. The word pro shouldn't enter your mind. I don't know why. That's just how it was for me. That's everyone around me. Nobody really believed. Of all things, Spokane Flag Football League, Hoop Fest, those two changed my mind, because we were in the Hoop Fest 6 foot and under division, and I remember getting smoked by guys and then going, well, we could actually beat these people in the elite division. And to make a long story short, figured it out. Got the right team together, got the right, intensity. Everybody figured out how to work together, and we were able to win one year, the 6 foot and under. My team never even played basketball. I never even played high school basketball, but my guys were wrestlers, and we just figured out how to wrestle our way to a victory in that. Same thing with flag football of all sports. I played flag for fun, and I realized how competitive it was. People are fist fighting, taking it way too serious. And And I liked that because when we would lose, people would let us know. And it was like, I was like, man, I don't like losing to these guys. To make a long story short, I ended up assembling a flag football team that won city finally. And I was like, wow, this is fun. One state finally. Won the national championship one year from Spokane. Again, if you looked at the teams that were out there, monstrous teams. I'd line up against somebody, where'd you play? I played for the Vikings. And I was like, he asked I played. I'm like, North Central High School. And, but lining up with these people, I realized these guys are all just human. And then the teamwork that it took to win these games, collectively, it stood out to me. We had better teamwork. That's how we were able to win in these smaller sports, flag football, and which doesn't seem like a big deal to many people. And Hoop Fest is a very big deal because everybody out there that's competing at any level wants to win. I don't care if it's a pickup basketball game. And some of those people sometimes are ex-NFL guys or major league guys and stuff, and you just don't know it until you ask them. And then you go, I can compete with this guy, And that is where it started for me. Because winning at that stuff, when I started my MMA, the last thing I wanted to hear was, but Ronda Rousey or but Conor McGregor, I don't want to hear that now. I realize that if you put your time in and you are not scared of the person across from you and you realize they're just like you, you can beat anybody at any sport on any playing field. If you're just willing to compete and lay it on the line, anything can happen. And that was what's ingrained. I was very lucky, and maybe they were lucky too, that when I opened up my gym, the first week I opened on Division, I actually held a sign on Division, like the going out of business sale signs. I did that, and my first week, Sam Cecilia walked in, who made it to the UFC, if people don't know. Juliana Pena literally walked in. She would walk down there. Her house was a block away. And Michael Chiesa walked in. Those are all some of my first weekers. And I don't know if it's a little bit of luck that they walked in, or they were lucky, because they got a psychopath in me that right when they walked in were like, hey, I want to get good at something like this. I did not let them believe that they couldn't be the best at it. I didn't let them allow that, thought to cross their mind. So from day one, they've been training to be world champions, not to be the best in Spokane, not to be whatever. And the common ground that they all have that made them elite, that people should listen to, is they stuck with it. They stuck with a person that believed in them, me, and they must have believed in me too, because they're still around, and we're still going. That's amazing.
Was Sam Cecilia the first athlete that you had to make it to the UFC?
Yes. Yeah, he was.
And then Michael Chiesa was the one who kind of took it to the next level.
Well, they were on the same show, so they both made it. He just had his first UFC fight faster than Mike. Actually, they both were in the finale of Tough, which is considered the first UFC fight, so they were pretty much tied.
Yeah, that's such a fascinating thing to me, is how, I feel like the Ultimate Fighter is like the ultimate, competition, and, your athletes have done extremely well on the Ultimate Fighter. Like, you have multiple Ultimate Fighter winners. Like, I feel like not a lot of head coaches can even say that.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. That is the thing in my life that I am the most proud and will always be the most proud of. It's not even the world title from Pena or Mike Chiesa being top 5, top 10 for 5 years straight. That's hard to just maintain that kind of level. It's so hard. And just cracking the top 10 in the UFC is a 1 in a billion type thing. So just hanging out there, even in the men's divisions that he was in, that's like a world title in all these other divisions. So Mike and Juliana have always been at that same level. And what was your question again?
No, I was just pointing out the fact that, you're a head coach that has multiple fighters.
Yeah, the Ultimate Fighter. How do I forget about that?
Yeah.
So that's my favorite, because Ultimate Fighter, they throw everybody in a mess. And there's nothing to do with promotion of the UFC and who's more popular, who has more followers, who has an upset victory over a big name. You're just blindly fighting every week, injured, on your own, just everybody against you, lack of sleep, all these little things that matter, that actually don't matter when you get in a cage. It's just no BS. Who's trained the best? Who's ready for multiple wars? The Ultimate Fighter is the best test to see who really is the best. And that is what I'm most proud of, because there isn't a gym on the planet, and I know this is fact, that can say what we've done in the Ultimate Fighter. Cody McKenzie has the fastest submission in Ultimate Fighter history. From our gym, Sam Cecilia, fastest knockout in Ultimate Fighter history. Michael Chiesa, Ultimate Fighter champion. Juliana Miller, Ultimate Fighter champion. Juliana Pena, Ultimate Fighter champion. Brady, Ultimate Fighter champion. That's the debatable one, because he lost split decision. Watch the fight. Brady won. And even if people can say he didn't, he got fight of the night for that. So again, competing at the highest level on Ultimate Fighter. That's why these people are all so good. You can throw our crowd blindly against any matchup, and we will do well. I'm not guaranteeing victory on everything, but we will always show up. And when you show up as much as we do, you're going to have success on the show, and that's the key to Ultimate Fighter.
Do you remember the first time you made the walk in the UFC?
Oh, yeah. I knew you'd fish that out. That's a good one. You fish that one out. My first UFC story is the greatest story freaking ever, especially for Hamlet. What a stud he is. Driving down driving down the main road of Las Vegas Boulevard, in a taxi with some friends of mine. I see next to me Dennis Hallman, one of the greatest fighters in Pacific Northwest history. People might not know about him, but look him up. Definitely maybe the best submission guy ever. I see Hallman. I go, holy shit, Dennis Hallman's right here. I'm waving at him through the window. He rolls his window down. He's like, what's up? And I go, dude, I'm a huge fan of yours. And I was just a fan back then. I wasn't really doing anything in the sport except for just rolling with my buddies on the floor type crap. Watching DVDs. Maybe even VHSs at the time. And I see Hallman, and we start talking through the taxi cab. He's like, room 316, Mandalay Bay. That's where we're hanging. You seem cool. Come hang out. I can't believe he did that. And I was like, what the hell? I'm going. I literally tell the taxi, I want to go to Mandalay Bay. My friends were being nerds. They're like, oh, don't go, dude. That's weird. And I was like, you look like a stalker. I go, I'm going. So I get to the Mandalay Bay. I go up to the room. He says he was up there. And I was talking about Tito Ortiz and everybody on the card, and everybody was, and Hallman's like, I'll have you meet Tito. He knocks on the hotel room next door. Tito Ortiz opens the door. I'm just like going, I was a fan 1 second in a car, and I'm meeting all these guys and literally hanging out with them. And that was weird. What was weirder is I got to the hotel room, and I just hung out with the guys for like half hour, and Anthony Hamlet was there, and he started arguing with Hallman. They were arguing about everything. They were obviously really good friends, but they were always arguing, and they argued about the cornering. And to make a long story short, Hamlet's like, I don't want to be in the corner. And Hallman's like, I don't really want you in the corner either. That they were literally headbutting over who's stubborn. It's like they both wanted each other to say, I really want you to be here. And they wouldn't do it. And then Hallman looks at me and goes, let's have this dude do it. He can corner me. I don't care. And Hamlet's like, sure, I don't care either. And he gives me his corner pass. I give him my ticket in the crowd. And they stuck by it. I was like, what are you guys doing? Are you sure? And he's like, Hallman's like, yep, you can corner me. Obviously, I didn't corner. He had Matt Hume and an amazing team, so I was just there. But to make it's a crazy story. The next day was the first show in Vegas history for UFC, and Holman was the co-main event fighting for a world title, and I was making the walk with him. And I couldn't believe it. I was just going, what is going on? I'm looking at the lights. I was looking at everything. I bought a ticket to go down as a fan. And all of a sudden, I'm down the ramp and walking up to the cage while he's getting his name announced, going, I was just not digesting it. And
Do you remember which UFC that was?
I don't. I just remember first UFC in Vegas.
First UFC in
Hallman
Vegas.
versus Pulver.
Hallman, look it up.
Tito Ortiz was the main event. I don't even remember who Tito was fighting. I know that I was in the corner, and that was one of the weirdest moments of my life, especially when Matt Hume, he's a general of this stuff. It was so funny, because as we were about to make the walk out, he still didn't understand why I was there. I didn't even understand why I was there. He didn't understand why I was there, and so as we're about to walk out, I'll never forget Matt Hume constantly going,
"Who's this guy?"
What is this guy doing? But I had my thing, and I just sat back, and I was like, here we go.
I'll tell you, that is actually how I had a similar experience, believe it or not. I know I'm not a head coach by any stretch of the imagination, but I ended up cornering Terrence McKinney in Abu Dhabi because he didn't have a corner, and they wouldn't let me to be the cameraman. So I just ended up being in Terrence McKinney's corner for that fight.
I had no idea about you were in his corner.
I was in his corner, yeah. I had
man.
the water.
So you know what that's like. That walk is intense.
Oh, man.
Especially your first one.
Yeah.
The first one is the most intense. That one, like I said, was just such a blur and a wreck to me. And I'm looking at BJ Penn was sitting next to me, and I was just like, I was.
Do you remember when you made the walk for either Sam or Mike for the first time?
Of course, yeah, I do. But it was weird because I was more focused. I was a coach. I was worried about my guys getting hurt, not getting hurt, what's happening. It didn't register the same. It's really weird.
Yeah.
I had a moment there where I took this almost too serious, and I don't remember those. I remember the walkouts better now that I've done more, and they're still very much like they'll knock your socks off, like what happened to you.
Right.
But that the first ones, when I was head coach, it was such business. I honestly don't remember them that well. I just remember the fights.
Right. One thing I wanted to ask, I feel like, Sikjitsu has the most accolades by far of any MMA gym in this area. But I know you do have a lot of history with Warrior Camp. Take it back to explain your history with Warrior Camp and, the relationship that you have with that gym at this point.
What do you mean history?
Like I feel like you at some point you were like having
I mean, I guess I was in that. Yeah. I've known Joel for a while in the scene. Joel's actually very intelligent. His coaching style is very similar to mine, which many people out there, they're just doing too much stuff.
Yeah.
They're just thinking too much. You know what I mean? They can't simplify this game. Joel has very, very good mind on how, and he was a great fighter too. And, back in the day, Yakima had a group of dudes that were really bad. JJ Mix, Brian Caraway, Joel Thomas was part of it, a guy named Tommy Truex. They had a small, tight-knit team over there, and they were all tough. And everybody that branched out from that kind of made their own dent. And Joel was one of them. And, so I rented out in the back area of Warrior Camp. It was a very huge place. And I was able to use the back of it. And that's where we did, I would say even Mike and Juliana and everybody. I brought my whole squad back there. But we really weren't a part of it. You know what I mean? We just rented it out. And you
were still under the Sikjitsu banner, but just like renting a spot out.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. I've done that all over. I mean, I come to realize having your big own flashy place, you're gonna attract big old flashy people, and that ain't it. My people, what I love about my people is I could go like this. Hey, we're moving into a cave tomorrow. It's got some mats, and it's got this, and that's just what it is. And people will go, what time? You know what I mean? And they'd get in there, and they'd be ready to work. They're not asking where all the pretty bags are and all the equipment. And that's what my people know. It's just hard one-on-one work with each other. And, so I've always been in place to place that was the easiest to go to, and
Yeah.
I don't like the big, you know what I mean, the whole big gym thing. It gets the big egos, the big people that aren't willing to do the dirty stuff. That's what I've come to realize.
I mean, you've had so many people walk through the gym of Sikjitsu. I feel like, is there any names that kind of just like, maybe not a lot of people know even train there for a while? I know you have like Austin Arnett, you had Terrence McKinney at one point, big name people.
Yeah,
Anybody that kind of stands out?
I like you said Terrence. Terrence will always be a part of us. One thing that people don't know about Terrence that they'll be thrown off is he's definitely one of the best students you could ever have. He shows up to every practice. When he wasn't that good, he would duke it out every day with Arnett and Sam Cecilia in their prime.
Mm-hmm.
These are 245 UFC guys, and Terrence was just a little skinny little guy. Come in there smiling, leave bloody, still smiling. Always show up. 100% of the time, always show up. So, I mean, he's a phenomenal guy. He's a guy we could call tomorrow and say, hey, we need some help and get some work, and he'd fly out and help. He is that guy. He's a very genuine, donate his time, want to see people succeed type of guy. I think he's probably Brady's biggest fan, you know what I mean? And he, they used to duke it out. I'll always consider him part of us.
I know he went down to Florida with you guys. He was in Ortega's corner.
Yeah.
How was that process? Just having all of you guys down?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, for some reason, it didn't register. Terrence calls me. He's like, "You guys can be in Miami," even though I knew he wasn't in Miami. Yeah, that was close enough for him to come make it.
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm coming," and I go, "We'll have a corner pass for you." And he came, and him and Ortega, are very similar and just freakish talent. And they've always got along, and so I knew it was a good move. Even though they didn't train together that camp or anything, having him there, having him in the corner was the right move, and that's my point exactly.
Yeah.
He showed up. He always shows up. Terrence McKinney will always show up.
I mean, he's coming off a couple wins, I think, in the UFC now, so I'm not sure if he has anything on the books, but always exciting fighter. He's engraved in the history books forever. He's got a 7-second knockout, so, I mean,
truthfully, he has the fastest knockout in UFC history.
Yeah.
It is they shouldn't count the glove touching, because when people walk out there and go and touch gloves, that's about 3-4 seconds right there, and then they back off.
Yeah.
That's another second. Terrence did that. And then, boom, it's over. That would have been a 3-second KO. That was a 3-second KO from when they actually started fighting. That's the fastest in history, but that's not a big deal. Everybody knows the guy. I mean, the bottom line is, don't blink when he's fighting.
One story I got to get out of you. You were on the bus when Conor McGregor threw the dolly through the bus. Michael Kiss, obviously.
I was on the window.
You're in the window.
I took shrapnel.
Yeah.
I was bleeding.
Talk about that
one.
Talk
Yeah.
about that moment. What do you remember from it? Because I feel like that's such a big moment.
Shrapnel. No, it wasn't that scary, but it was a little bit, because I was on the residual. I was on the inside. Mike was on the window, cutting weight, laying on that window that he threw it through, because I don't know if through the window, I think he thought that was Khabib.
Yeah.
I really do think that he thought that was him. And when he threw it, obviously Mike took the blunt of it. And, it's just glass everywhere. I mean, Rose was sitting behind us, and she got glass on her. And Ray Borg was sitting across from us in his eye. I mean, it definitely felt like some type of crazy explosion. I don't know why I wasn't as scared as I should have been, because I just thought some fans were going crazy and throwing stuff, and I thought something might have broke the glass.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on out there. I didn't even realize it was the angry little leprechaun man until I finally saw him running around the bus, and he was trying to find a way in. It was a pretty crazy moment.
It sucks too, because it's like, man, that could have been Mike's opportunity for a title shot. I mean, I don't remember who ended up getting the title shot on that card.
Yeah,
Was
Ali Quinta got it, who Mike had beaten earlier, and it's funny because it was going to Mike.
Yeah.
Dana even texted Mike that Ferguson got hurt and he tripped over some cord or something.
Yeah.
And to make a long story short, Mike was going to get a title shot with Khabib. He was going to fight him. That's crazy. That how that was right there. And that's the point of this game, Like I said, there's so many little variables to getting title shots. Some of it's luck, some of it's this. I mean, even Al, he went in 5 rounds with Khabib. He was like the third choice, And it's incredible when you get your chance what you can do. I thought Al fought amazing. I know Mike would have been Khabib's toughest test. I do know that much. People probably are like, oh, come on. Back then, Mike was on a roll at 55. He was the biggest 55er, maybe in the history of the UFC. He was starting to get out of hand big. That's why we eventually moved him. But at that moment in time, he was bigger than Khabib. And Khabib has always used weight and size, and obviously a hell of a lot of skill, but weight and size to bully people around, and that wouldn't have happened with Mike. So there could have been some good grappling exchanges in that fight. That would have been an amazing fight. If Al Iaquinta put up 5 rounds, who knows what Mike would have done, and he's always been one to rise to the occasion. And if they think, Juliana Pena upset Amanda Nunes, could have Mike upset Khabib? I know he could have.
Yeah.
And we'll never know. Unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about your strength and conditioning program. What are you doing these days for strength and conditioning?
Yeah, dude, it's awesome. Our strength conditioning is awesome. What happens? That's a good question. We have all these elite athletes that's sick, and we have a guy out there who knows where the real shit is. He knows how to piggyback and get on with the right people. And anybody else, sponsors or anybody, if they're coming from here and they're getting trained from here, hop on board, because your sponsorship will be money well spent. The work you put in will come back. And, anybody wants to get on board, you should interview them. Every one of these fighters that I go, boom, you're a professional, you should interview them. It's good for all businesses in Spokane. Pick up Sikjitsu's Elite. That's the message.
There you go. You're a promoter now. You have Excite Fight. Another thing I wanted to ask you: when did the transition happen? When did you just start this promotion? And what are your earliest memories of when you started Excite Fight?
Well, to be a fight coach, to be what I'm doing, because, all of us, for the most part, I really believe this is really going to get people upset, the martial arts world. We teach a bunch of gibberish. You know what I mean? We teach a bunch of goofy moves to stimulate your mind and make you feel like this money you're pouring in is making you really tough and good and, an amazing, like you can defend yourself kind of stuff. Whereas 90% of these people cannot defend themselves. But it doesn't matter. They're not going to get in these life or death situations ever. You know what I mean? To be a true fight coach, to get, elite fighters and to keep fighters don't want to stay. This is hell. Cutting weight, hell. Real fist fights against high-level guys, hell. So to have that, you can't have a normal program. You have to have a supplemental income. Fight shows. I had to do fight shows to sustain having a fight program. Because otherwise I'm going to have to open cardio kickboxing and some cute other stuff to, and that's also, when you do that, you water it down and you have longevity of students, but you're not going to have anybody go anywhere. You know what I mean? You're not going to have anybody going anywhere. So, what's going to amaze people is, even in my program, you need about 2 to 3 days a week to excel. They're hard days, but that's what you need. 2 or 3 days, not 5 days a week, not morning and night. Not like everybody thinks. That's just, to me, a bunch of extra fluff. You know what I mean? If you concentrate on the right stuff and you train the right things 3 days, 4 days a week, you can be pretty damn good.
Was there anybody that helped you start the promotion, or how how did you get into these casinos and yeah?
Yeah, well, you're going to learn this in life. The person that helped, I can point right at them. Right here. You can't get help in this stuff. You know what I mean? You can't do it. And when you ask for help, nobody knows what they're talking about. So you have to do it yourself. You know what I mean? You have to do it. Not everybody's lucky enough to be a piggybacker. The old piggybacking. You know what I mean? I wish I could have done that. I didn't. I had to start it myself. And, you know, it's getting the casinos. I had to walk in there myself, get rejected time and time again. Rejected. Calls. We'll call you back. Not called back. You know, that's how it is. That's how fighting is. You can lose as an amateur. You wonder, can I do this? You know what I mean? Then you figure it out. Then you get to be a pro. Then you lose as a pro. And you're like, I lost as a pro. How am I going to beat the UFC pros? And you make it to the UFC. You lose to the UFC pro. And then you're like, how can I stay in the UFC? It's always like that. You're always going to get turned away. You're always going to have stuff happen to you. And you just have that. And you're just going to have to either decide I'm doing this and I'm going to keep going, you know, or you fold it up. And I've never folded up. That's why my promotion succeeded. That's why I'm still going. That's why the fighters you see with me, they don't fold up. They realize I don't fold up. So they're like, damn, Rick's spent a lot of time with me. He can do other stuff with his time, and he's obsessed with helping me and being part, because I know putting time into these people, the right people, what's possible. Because they have one trait. The main people that I have all have one trait. They don't fold up.
Do you remember your first show and the nerves that you had going into your first, being a promoter?
You got good questions. That's a good question. I must have told you this stuff before, but absolutely. I actually tried to cancel it 2 or 3 times. I chickened out. And every time I almost canceled, you know what I mean? Some guy would be like, oh, I need to buy tickets, or I want to do this. Because I honestly, when I started my first show, I thought this many people were going to show up, and it's going to be an embarrassment, you know, and a big loss. And so as it got closer, I was just looking for excuses. I would have like issues with the DJ, and I'm like, I need to just cancel this. You know what I mean? Issues with the venue. I should just cancel this. I would almost be relieved, and then, you know, and then the issues would resolve, and I was like, I guess I'm doing it. And I'll never forget, first show, there was a line wrapping around the building, get all the way to Division at the Swackhammers building, and it was like, you know, there was probably 1,000 people in line, and I expected 50. I wasn't prepared. People were leaking through the door, and to make a long story short, I was like, holy cow, that is, there's something here. People like fighting, I guess, as much as I did. I honestly didn't think that many people liked fighting. I thought 50 people would like it.
Yeah.
I thought there was, like, back then, I thought there was 4 people that liked fighting. Me, Sam, Mike, and Julie, because that's all I saw every day. And everybody else was just, you know, whatever. And I thought there'd be, like, a few of their family members come. But what a treat. Back in those days, same cards. Sam Cecilia on the card. Michael Chiesa on the card. Juliana Pena on a card in North Spokane in a little bar. These happened all the time. It's crazy. People had no idea that at the West Central Community Center, main and co-main event, Michael Chiesa and Juliana Pena. It's crazy, you know what I mean? That was about a year before they made it to the UFC. So you could have saw them right here. Now you gotta go buy a plane ticket, across the country, spend $600 for the cheap seats in the UFC.
There you go.
Go watch them, and then you'll go up to them when you see them in the street. Say, yo, Pena, yo, Mike, and they'll go, pfft. No, they will never do that. But they could. They're up there now, as you know. They're about that.
You're here now, May 24th, I believe. You have Muckleshoot Casino, Excite Fight. You want to promote it real quick? What can fans expect? What do you got going on?
Again, Northern Crest Casino, best casino ever. On this side of the mountains, that side of the mountains. Muckleshoot, they've been huge for the growth of MMA all through the Northwest. And by I mean growth, I mean highlighting the best fighters. We got a lot of news about a couple athletes coming out of Muckleshoot that I cannot say yet, but I can tell you that we've done some big things with them. You will see with announcement soon. This show, boom. MMA at Muckleshoot has produced some, talent that on that side, the Chase Hoopers, and we have some talent on that side, and we're going to have a lot more coming out soon. And we're doing another one, May 24th. We do 4 a year. Competition's crazy. There's a lot of shows over there now, but obviously I'm biased, but this is the best show.
Yeah.
You've been to the Muckleshoot show. They go all out with everything.
Yeah.
Even the fighters.
Yeah.
They fight their ass off there. It's even got the best cage. The biggest cage in the Pacific Northwest is at the Muckleshoot show that we have there in-house. And, man, fighters can really open up there. This cage is as big as the UFC arena cages. So twice as big as you see on the normal scene. It produces a different kind of style of fights. And got to check it out. We don't stream it. We don't do none of that. When you see that stuff, don't believe it. We don't do any of those streams or anything. You have to go. Muckleshoot, 10 days from now, or whenever you put this out, the 24th of May, Saturday, Muckleshoot Casino. Be there.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I do video, obviously, there. It's my favorite venue to film. I mean, the lights, cameras, everything is as big as it can get. The fighters, the fights. There's nothing like a Muckleshoot Casino show. So if you haven't got your tickets, May 24th, Muckleshoot Casino. Rick Little, thank you for coming on. Anything else you want to leave the people, the fans, anything you want to say?
Well, this is a good warm-up for us. It's a good warm-up, so I'll leave this. Well, I like the questions you asked. We're going to get into some good stuff. I have a feel, there's a lot of good announcements to make. Guys doing some big things, and I'm sure we'll be talking again. So, I think it's going to be twice more interesting. You're not going to hear about the past. You're going to hear about stuff happening in the future. Cool. New casinos, new athletes, new bigger wins coming, new bigger announcements of fights coming, and that'll happen soon. And I'm sure this guy right here will fish it out of me, everything. Even stuff I'm not supposed to say. He's going to just fish it out.
Always. I remember having a conversation with you, and you said that I reminded you of Ariel Helwani, and that stuck with me. And
definitely. You're the next. Definitely right.
Yeah, and I just got monetized on YouTube. Thank you, everybody that is supporting me. The YouTube channel is now monetized. If you haven't, please subscribe. Subscribe, leave a comment, do all that good stuff. Thank you again, Rick Little, the man, the myth, the Spokane fight god, and thank you for coming on again. Thank you, everybody.
Watch this channel. It's gonna get bigger because we were gonna get some good guys on here, and it's monetized. You can make money now. A lot of money. You're gonna be as rich as Ariel Helwani too. That's my next prediction.
Boom.
There you go.
All right. Thank you.
There you go.